creatures that lived for thousands of years in the frozen lands of the Ice Age etched into humanity's memory with their giants, tusks, and thick fur. But how did these magnificent giants, who survived on Earth for millions of years, suddenly disappear? This question has occupied scientists, archaeologists, and paleontologists for centuries. When exactly did mammoths go extinct? Most mammoth species went extinct about 10,000 years ago, at the end of the Ice Age, but there is a surprising fact. A fifth dwarf mammoth colonies survived for another 6,000 years on isolated islands. The world's last known mammoths lived on Wrangel Island around 106,050 BCE, meaning they lived even after the Great Pyramid of Khufu was built. This proves that the idea mammoths went extinct entirely during the Ice Age is not completely accurate. What was the main cause of mammoth extinction? There is no single cause. Instead, several strong theories exist. The most widely accepted reasons are climate change, human hunting, genetic collapse, and extreme population decline, habitat loss, diseases, and ecosystem changes. The strongest research shows that climate change, human hunting together led to their extinction. Why was climate change so dangerous for mammoths? Because mammoths were animals of the cold steppes, known as the mammoth steppe. This region consisted of giant grasslands. When the Ice Age ended, the grasslands turned into wetlands and forests. The disappearance of grasslands meant the disappearance of mammoths' main food source. As a result, mammoths starved, their reproduction rates dropped, and their population shrank dramatically. Did humans really hunt mammoths and to wipe them out? This was debated for years, but recent archaeological evidence supported. In North America, stone spear points were found with mammoth blood and tissue residues. In Siberia, mammoth bones with human-made cut marks were discovered. Early human groups used mammoth bones for shelter frames, tent poles, and tools. Scientists believe human hunting alone wasn't enough to wipe mammoths out, but as climate change weakened mammoth populations, human hunting delivered the final blow. Did the mammoth struggle to find food? Yes, and this is crucial. Mammoths consumed around 180 kilograms of plants per day. As glaciers melted and forests spread, woody shrubs increased, grassland decreased, soil composition changed, plant diversity dropped. In other words, climate change shut down the mammoth cafeteria completely. What is genetic collapse, and what did it mean for mammoths? Genetic collapse occurs when a species population becomes very small, then inbreeding increases, genetic errors accumulate, the immune system weakens, resistance to diseases and environmental changes decreases. DNA from the last Wrangel Island mammoths revealed damaged smell-related genes, errors in immune system genes, mutation in hair color genes. So the last mammoths were essentially a genetically broken, unhealthy population. Why were the last mammoths trapped on islands? Because during the Ice Age sea levels were low, and mammoths could walk across the land to areas that are not islands. When the ice melted, sea levels rose, land bridges disappeared. Mammoths became isolated on islands like Wrangel and City Paul. This isolation accelerated their genetic decline. Did diseases play a role in the extinction of mammoths? There is no definitive proof, but there are strong possibilities. When populations shrink, large animals become vulnerable to epidemics. Some researchers suggest increasing parasites, expanding fungal species, climate-driven new brews might have weakened mammoths. Some archaeologists even propose that humans brought new microbes that infected mammoths. Why didn't mammoths migrate to new regions? They tried, but two major obstacles stood in the way. Ecosystem change. Everywhere they went had turned into forests. Mammoths couldn't find food there. Human hunting pressure. Most of their former territories were not occupied by human groups. Thus mammoths retreated again and again, becoming trapped in smaller habitats. Did other large Ice Age animals go extinct at the same time? Yes, many giant species went extinct alongside mammoths, including saber-toothed cats, giant ground sloths, woolly rhinoceros, giant bisons, short-faced bears. This extinction wave is called the magnophonial extinction. This shows that the disappearance of mammoths was part of a broader ecosystem collapse. Why did the end of the Ice Age affect mammoths so severely? Because mammoths were not just animals, they were symbolism of a frozen world. Their bodies, metabolism, movement, and digestion evolved entirely for cold environments. When the Ice Age ended, temperatures rose, food sources decreased, soil changed, hunting pressure increased, habitats shrank. They simply couldn't adapt as to such a rapidly changing world. How long did the extinction of mammoths take? It wasn't a sudden catastrophe instead, a 20,000 year decline, a major collapse 10,000 years ago, complete extinction around 4,000 years ago, a slow but tragic end. Can mammoths be brought back today? Yes, scientists are working seriously on this. George Charge and his team aim to create a mammoth elephant hybrid by combining mammoth DNA with Asian elephant DNA. The goal is to produce a mammoth-like woolly elephant. The project is controversial, but in theory we might see a mammoth-like creature in the 21st century. So which was more responsible, climate change or hunting? Scientific evidence shows there was no single cause. The general consensus is 50% climate change, 50% human pressure. This period corresponds to a time when the world was warming, human populations were increasing, animal habitats were shrinking, so the two factors worked together. What should humanity learn from the extinction of mammoths? Very important lessons. When ecosystem change, large species collapse quickly. Human activities can be deadly for already weakened species. Animals have limited time to adapt to climate change. Genetic diversity is essential for species survival. The extinction of mammoths is a major warning for today's endangered species. The extinction of mammoths was not the result of a single event but a chain reaction of interconnected factors. Climate change destroyed their habitats. Humans increased hunting pressure. Genetic structure deteriorated. Diseases and isolation reduced their numbers further. All these common effects erased the footsteps of mammoths from the silent white lands of Earth, leaving them to fade into the dark corridors of history. But the traces they left behind continue to fascinate scientists even today.